I always thought when I became an adult, I would have my shit together.
Or poops in groups, as they say.
Today on Honestly, Dear Listener, we're talking about structure. How we as artists can create it, maintain it, how to chunk down overwhelming tasks, and how to transform have-dos into opportunities.
And we're also talking about couple sex therapy, being a mortician, and our everlasting love for the library. Hello!
Oh, hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing so well. How are you?
I'm great.
Great.
I'm in New York right now, and
Mhm.
there is some sort of jackhammer, giant vibrator situation happening outside.
In the background?
Yep.
Oh,
so
good.
If you hear, oh yeah, just in my house right now.
Uh-huh.
No. If you hear it, it's the city.
That's okay. You know what? You're in New York. You're living the dream. So
Am I? I am.
Yes.
Is what I meant. So sorry.
That's right. Hey, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday! It's Friday.
Yes, we made it another week.
Yay!
Yay. Okay, so shall we get to our weird thing? And by the way, when we say weird thing, we don't mean that the thing has to be weird every time. It could just be something interesting, right? Or things that we're mulling over or just random thoughts. Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I don't feel like we need to be weird. And also, what if we say something and people are like, is that weird?
Yeah, what if, yeah, and right.
I don't
So, okay, so what do you have a weird thing, Emily?
You know, I have to have one. Have you ever seen A Bug's Life?
Yeah, but it's been a long time, so I
is-
couldn't quote it or anything.
It's a very quotable movie that I frequently watch still, and there's a stick bug in it, and I'm channeling the stick bug today. He's in the circus and he's wearing a flower on his head, and he says, "Tra-la-la-la-la, spring's in the air, and I am a flower with nothing interesting to say."
Yes.
Yep. I think I will be more of a spontaneous weird person today. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, totally fine. This is
But I
our
did
space.
I quoted A Bug's Life, so I think that's pretty weird.
That's fine. No, I think that's great. Okay, so my weird thing is, and this kind of involves you too, so you can answer. But my question here is what would you be doing? What's like, okay, if you could do some kind of, and nothing is too weird here, but if you were doing something else in your life that you're not doing right now, and it's, like, don't think about finances, don't think about education, don't think about any of, the things that would hold you back or whatever. But what would you be doing if you weren't doing what you're doing right now?
I wanted to be a sex therapist.
Oh, tell me about that.
So I think for some reason I've always been a solver of problems, and not that everything surrounding sex is a problem, but I found myself when I was younger, like counseling my friends and their spouses about their sex life and how they could be like matching up a little better.
Wait.
Like,
Would you talk to them separately? Would you talk to them together? Like, are they both in the same room?
Yeah,
Oh.
usually, and then sometimes just one, but typically it'd be like, no, I'm just going to talk to both people about the situation. And now that I think about it, it's kind of hilarious. Like, what if they really didn't want me to talk to them about it, but I just like inserted myself, pun intended. No. No, but I did actually think that if this whole singing thing didn't work out and I wasn't rolling in cash as I am now, then I would want to be a sex therapist.
Okay, did you giggle?
No.
You didn't?
There's nothing funny about boners, Carrie.
I don't know. The 5th grade boy in me.
Tell me what you would be.
Okay, so I would be either there's that sound. Signs of life. I think I would either be a librarian or a mortician. Yeah.
Tell me mortician.
You don't want to hear about the librarian?
Next, I think.
I would want to be a mortician because I think death is fascinating in general. And I think that it would, I wish I knew more about the human body once it was deceased. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Seth. Seth's my husband, and he this is probably not his favorite topic, so you can fast forward through this if you want. I read a book. There's a book called Stiff, and it talks about, everything that happens after you die, body-wise, and, how they'll do all these there's like research projects where they have a plot of land and people can sign up to donate their bodies to these projects, and they just like put them out in a field and study rates of decomposition. And I think that is so interesting. There's also, and I wish I'll put it in the show notes, but there's a guy that's a mortician that asks, he's on YouTube and he answers questions that the general population have about being a mortician and death. And it is fascinating. Some of the stuff that comes up. So anyway,
Call those body farms. Am I making that up?
I think you're right. I think they are called body farms.
I don't know why I know that, though. I don't think you've told me that. I feel like someone has mentioned this before. I don't know.
I don't think I could mortify people that I know. Like I couldn't mortify you. That's weird. Mortify? That's not.
I was wondering if that's a real word that
no.
Like I would be mortified. Yeah, that's interesting. And I think it has something to do with, you guys don't know this about Carrie, but she's like obsessed with organs that are her own. Tell the people, Carrie. You need to tell them this.
The unfairness. Oh yeah. Okay. So I just think it's really, really, I think it's unfair that we go through our whole lives and we never see our internal organs. Like, I feel like I'm entitled to know what my spleen looks like. And it's weird that I don't. I'll just never know, right? And if I did know, it'd be a problem because I need my spleen where it's at and everything kind of all sewn up the way it needs to be. But isn't that weird? Like it feels the same kind of injustice as living in a neighborhood your whole life and never seeing the inside of your neighbor's houses, or being really good friends with a person in childhood and never seeing the inside of their parents' bedroom. Like, you ought to know.
I feel like that's
right?
weird. I feel like that's weird too. Lovingly. Like,
I knew what your parents' bedroom looked like.
I've never,
because we're that close.
But I've never thought about your parents' bedroom.
Well, I don't think about what goes on in there, but now I am. But I don't think about, I just think it's weird how you can be so familiar with a place and yet there are places within those places that you just can't see. I want to see all the things.
I like it. And that brings us to librarian.
Yes.
You want to see all of those books.
Yeah, well, I think for me, it's about safety. Like, for some reason in my brain, I think if there's a zombie apocalypse or something happens on a catastrophic level, the first place I'm going to go to is the library. But now that I've told everyone that, Now, oh no, I just screwed it all up for myself.
Mm.
Because it's like I feel like all the safe people are well-read people.
Mm.
You know, books, I feel like make us more human? I don't know.
Mm.
And I mean, I want to be around those people in an emergency situation. So maybe I'm just thinking about this whole librarian thing all wrong, because most of my job would be just really ordinary things, not if a zombie apocalypse were happening.
Yeah, I feel like you can't necessarily bank on a zombie apocalypse at your everyday job.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it's a good place to be. I agree. Libraries are
And
safe.
I feel like libraries have got to have, and I need to ask librarians about this, although they probably wouldn't be upfront with me. I feel like there's underground bunkers underneath there. They hold the most sacred tomes, and like there's got to be more. These people are brilliant that work in these establishments, and they're probably, the library, I think, is more than what it looks like. You know?
I like that. I love your brain. It's the best. When you talk about things, I'm like, I could really picture there being some sort of catacombs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like scrolls.
Yeah.
And,
like the original writing of Ramona Quimby, like the original copy.
Yes,
Age
exactly.
8. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I like it.
So anyway, that's the weird thing today.
I like it. I like it a lot. Sex therapy, mortified, library, zombie apocalypse scrolls.
There you go.
What more could you ask for? That's what I want to know.
Well,
all right. It's been a fun episode. See you guys.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Well, what are we talking about today in the land of creatives, Carrie?
Well, I kind of wanted to delve into the world of structure. How do we create structure for ourselves as artists? And by the way, we're walking into this conversation not having any ideas on how to create structure. I just thought I feel like as we get into the topic more, I'm hoping I am going to be able to glean some nuggets from you in what has helped you. That's why I wanted to talk about this today.
Good.
Because I struggle with structure so much. What about you?
I also feel that I do. But I have some things that have worked overall in my life. I'm no expert. I will say something that I need to finish is I listen to books because for some reason it makes some sense with the musician thing, but I am an auditory processor, so much more than reading something. When I can read something a million times and have no idea what it says, but if I hear it, I absorb it. So anyway, I've been listening to the book Atomic Habits, and I want to finish it. But I think that was a super helpful way to think about things. And with being a music teacher, I think a lot about how people can put practice into their lives. And as a human that hates practicing, if I'm told I have to, that's something that I've struggled with. So I think, I would say like my structure is complicated because I do so many different things. And so I struggle with feeling chaotic a lot of the time and how to compartmentalize those different things I do and get things done. But yeah, I'm like, how do I sum up all of structure in a short, I don't know how to do that, but I have like weird little things that I look forward to, and that Atomic Habits book kind of tells you to basically tack newer things that you're trying to get done onto your things that you already do every day. Like,
Oh, habit stacking.
yep, habit stacking.
Kind of.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Uh-huh.
So thinking about, like, for me, I started a couple years ago. Just I get up and I make my coffee and, do blah blah, and then I sit with my laptop. It's probably not the most healthy habit, but I sit with my
Eh.
laptop and start work. And for some reason, every night I look forward so much to getting up and getting a cup of coffee. And so I feel like excited because there's nothing else yet that's like gonna mess with me or anything. I get excited to like sit down and start working on stuff. I also really like to use a to-do list, and I use Notion, and I really love being able to like see everything there and check things off and move things over and stuff like that. It just helps me like feel like I'm really getting things done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can have those crazy brain thoughts and just write them on my to-do list and then push them out of my brain so I can finish doing what I'm doing. But to be honest, like, I don't think I'm any poster child for structure. Just because I don't know that I'm doing everything I should be or want to be doing every day. But
Yeah.
that's helped me anyway. I think during 2020, I just woke up one day and was like, oh, I just have to do things, which sounds so stupid. But that's what I wrote the song Get It Done about, that because it was like, oh, I just have to literally do it. Like, the difference between me being a songwriter and me not being a songwriter is writing songs. And so if I just do it, if I just sit down and do the song thing, then I'm a songwriter. Like, it doesn't sound very profound, but it really felt like, oh, like I just have to do it and then that's what I'm doing. And so I think I look at that like a leading thing for me. That's like the difference between you answering these emails and not answering them is if you answer them, they'll be answered. So sit down and answer them. Does that sound weird? Does that make any sense at all?
No, I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. That it's not. I think maybe sometimes as artists we blow up things in our lives, like I definitely idealize, but that also goes for tasks. Like the task, which is really, this big, like fits in my hand, is like turns into this massively huge thing. And really, reality, whatever that is that it's just this big. Like just do the thing and don't make it this massive thing. What I am the poster child for structure, other people's structure. So like if school is like, oh, here's your structure, I'm like, yep, give me all of that. Like you tell me what to do, boss me around. And because I tend to give so much credence to everyone else and not a lot of credence to myself. Like if I make a thing, it's like, oh, okay. Well, it's not that interesting. I made it after all, and then somebody else makes a thing and I feel like, oh, wow, this is just so great. And it's frustrating because I think, well, why do I devalue my efforts and kind of put up on a pedestal everyone else's efforts? I don't know. It's weird to me. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say I relate to the school thing. I was thinking this weekend we were hanging out with a friend and I got a tattoo. Anyway, that's a side note. But we were hanging out with him and he has a day job and I don't have a day job. And I was like, I used to work for like big organizations. I worked for a lawyer. I worked for a hospice company. And I was thinking like, I kind of envy not that I would trade what I do or my life, but I envied him having a place to be at a time where other people expected him to be. Um,
Yes.
and I miss that because he's like, yeah, and I get up in the morning and I go to the gym and then I go to work. And then I come home from work and I do D to D to D. And he's like a well-disciplined person. And I'm like, oh my God, I miss going to work. I don't want to. Listen, universe,
Yeah.
like, don't, like, and then my business tanked and I got that thing I wanted. Bless you. Oh, I got to sneeze. God bless you.
Oh, I receive it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your story with my
please.
biological noises.
But yeah, I think I miss the structure of leaving, going to a place. I think working from
Yes.
home is difficult. I think working from home is even more difficult when you're your own boss. And to be a creative person, you are your own boss. You're the boss of when you make things. So even if you have that full-time job, when you get home, it's up to you if you make something or not. So you really have to like police yourself on things to be able to make them. And that's really tough. Like being your own boss is difficult. So I think for me, like for my students, one of the things that makes things easier that seems to be helpful is to take things in shorter bites, like smaller bites, and think of it like you only need to spend like 15 minutes doing something that you like doing, like practicing or singing or sewing or whatever. Just tell yourself you only have to sit down and work on this for 15 minutes and think about what makes you happy about it. Because I don't know if you're like me, but I rebel against myself like regularly.
Yes.
It's so dumb. I'm like, this is good for you, Emily. And then I'm like, fuck you, me. Why? I don't. So if I remember that there's something in this that makes me happy that I want to do and follow the joy within that, then I get more done. And I end up being excited to go work on that thing or like follow some sort of routine because I'm like, oh, now I get to do this, rather than like sit down and practice or you're gonna suck,
Right.
So
I think, okay, so there's a name for that rebellion, and I've been doing a lot of research on ADHD because I think I have it mildly or something. Anyway, it's called demand avoidance. It's when you demand something of yourself and then yourself rebels against yourself and therefore you avoid whatever you've demanded. So it's weird because to-do lists for me work some of the time, especially when I write down things I've already done and then cross them off right afterwards.
I like that.
It feels so good. They work for me on some days, and other days I get so paralyzed by the whole list. And so I was telling my husband Seth about it, and then he said, well, have you read this book? It is a book that's really great, but I can't remember what it is now. And he was saying that maybe it was a podcast. I don't know, whatever.
It's okay.
Anyway, it said that if you change your thinking about it, your mindset, instead of saying, I have to do this thing, instead saying, this is an opportunity. I'm not going to miss this opportunity. Shoot, I'm going to get right in there and I'm just going to see. And like you said, if you pair that up with the 15-minute thing, what I find is okay, we're just going to start something. This is an opportunity. 15 minutes comes and I'm already in the thing and I don't want to stop doing the thing after I've started it, after I'm doing it. So,
opportunity.
How do you,
I like it.
Opportunity. How do you, because it's like I wrestle with myself on a day-to-day basis as far as creating structure for the long term, how do you organize a project or whatever? Like, let's say you have a project that spans, a couple months. How do you stay on task and build structure for those kinds of things?
I would love to know that. So um I have to have like some goals set for
Mhm.
myself. I have to go like the only thing I can think of that fits into this for me is when I wrote the Stevie Wonder tribute show. Um
Mhm.
it was a blessing though that I only had 9 weeks to do it. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I sat down, excuse me, talked to some people that I know and love, and they gave me some like ideas of songs that I wouldn't have thought of, and we just talked, and then I just compiled all the songs that I wanted to do, and then I figured out like how do I get the charts for these things? What do I want to do with the songs? What are going to be my medleys? What are going to, and then I just started knocking stuff out because I only had 9 weeks, so it was like I had to give deadlines to the people I needed stuff from, and then I had to have everything uploaded so we could rehearse. So I would like schedule out the things that involved other people, and that was really helpful to me too, because then other people knew when we were going to be doing something. So it forced me to have to like do it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I find,
So that, yeah.
oh, I was just going to say, I find that that is a common theme in my life that I've had to learn the hard way in, in some respects, that if I really want to do something, I have to involve other people in it because someone else needs to know that I am
Mhm.
doing this and be involved somehow, because then I feel a responsibility to them to not let them down. And
Mm.
so that's how I like chunk out my time. It would be like, okay, our first rehearsal is in 3 weeks. So I've got to have all this done. And it would be like milestones that I'd have to have things done by because someone else would be relying on me for it.
So some accountability is really helpful for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it feels like I'm not making it for me. Feels like I'm making it for someone else. Which I think
Mm.
is a challenge anyway with creating things. It's like back to that making it for yourself or making it for other people. I kind of have to know that I'm making it for other people. Um
Mm.
so yeah. What
Yeah.
about you? How do you do that?
Well, I think involving other people is huge for me as well. Having like I have a planner. It's like this little planner that I got from Amazon, and I have I write out all the things and I say, okay, for the next month, what am I going to do? What am I going to do on these days? So that really helps.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what really also helps for me too is because I struggle so much with motivation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one day I will feel so motivated, and the next day it'll just be like, "Bleh." And I think some of that has to do with health problems that I've talked about before
Mm-hmm.
with the migraines that I have,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. But uh, chunking really has helped me a lot. And
What is
it's
that?
this technique where if something feels so big and so overwhelming, you chunk it down and you check in with yourself at every chunk. So, for instance, if cleaning my room feels too big, then I say, okay, well, I'm only going to clean half the room. Does that feel motivating? No, that still doesn't feel motivating for me. Okay, well, let's chunk it down even more. Does cleaning off your bedside table feel motivating? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's only a bedside table. Like how hard can that be?
Hmm.
And then it's the starting of it. It's once I start, I can't stop.
Mm.
But I have to find that point at which the chunk is just the right size
Mm-hmm.
that I can start the thing.
Mm.
And I also and I do this when I clean the kitchen. Uh yeah, if you look at the whole kitchen, it feels super overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say I'm going to start at one side and do a visual sweep, and everything that line touches, I'm going to deal with only when that line touches it.
Oh.
That has been really helpful. So it's like a room scan almost in a way. And that's how I'm able to clean my kitchen 90% of the time.
I love that.
Otherwise, it's just, yeah. So just little strategies like that. But yeah, involving other people, having things to look forward to. For instance, if I'm about to graduate from the sewing program that I'm in, so I'm going to lose that structure. But saying, okay, friends that are in my class, I still want to do pattern drafting. Let's meet every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever, and show what we've done in the past month. Well, I have to have something to show for that. And so knowing that's motivating for me as well.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a challenge. And I feel like what works, like you were saying, what works for me one day doesn't always work another day. Like my to-do list is really helpful for me, but some days I forget about it. Like,
yeah,
I don't have that built into my habits necessarily, So, so yeah, it's hard to ebb and flow. And I think our creative minds are very like all the time. So it can be a huge challenge. I think it's normal for that to be.
I think so too.
And more right-brained people, as they say, are a little less strict and a little more scattered, Oh, speaking of that, okay. So you've heard that like creative people tend to be like messier, or at least in some areas. Do you relate to that? Do you feel like you're a scatter person, like with your house and stuff?
Yes, I'm an all or nothing person. So either it's like walk in, ready, everyone, I'm ready to have a dinner party at my house, which is like 2% of the time. Or the other 98% of the time, I just am like, whatever, just throw it on the heap and I guess I'll get to it. Like I have a hard time cleaning up a little bit, even though it's the cleaning up a little bit that adds up into it being clean, the whole thing, What about you?
I'm weird. My room is never clean, like ever. And I feel comfort in it. And I've been like that for my whole life. Like it drove my parents insane. And you remember, I mean, there's just like clothes everywhere. You don't see, and this is still a thing in my life. Like you don't see my floor a lot of the time. Because for some reason I like to be insanely chaotic in one room. And then the rest of my house is not usually messy. It's not like always clean, but I would say most of the time, like messy kitchen stuff doesn't sit for more than a day. Like it's gross to me. So I'll clean that stuff, and I like don't love the bathroom to be super cluttery or the living room, but my room is horrible all the time. And I like it. I don't know why. It's like I walk in and I'm like, yeah, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, what is that? What is that? Because it's chaotic in one piece, one room, one part. So what does that give you?
I don't know. I think it's like one spot where I can just let everything be, like with the exception of it. We're talking like clothes, not like food or any of that. That's disgusting. For me anyway. But yeah, I think it's just like there's a place I can throw my jacket across the room and I'm happy about it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. And I think there has to be like a spot that like no one can fuck with me on, It's just like,
yeah,
except my poor husband, but that's okay. It's my side of the bed now. So it's like my side of the room. But yeah, I don't know what that's about. I think I think it's like some people have a junk drawer. I just have like a junk
Yes.
room. Um,
Nice.
that I need. I think I just
It
need a place where I don't have to be like policing myself on it.
Oh, okay. So it's about because you are so like you definitely drive yourself in a lot of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes sense that it's like it's the part of your life that you're not driving yourself in.
Mm-hmm. And it's
That
like okay
is,
for me to be crazy over here.
yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's difficult when because and I think a lot of artists do this. We compare ourselves all the time to other people. And so when I see, and especially social media is just so savage with this, it's like I feel like everyone else has their stuff together and everyone else has their structure and they're just doing it beautifully. And I'm over here going, huh. But I think, and I've had people tell me this, they think the same thing about me
Mm-hmm.
where they're thinking, "Oh my gosh, she has it all together," and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, if you only knew."
Mm-hmm.
It and it feels, I don't know, that feels really isolating to me. It feels really good to be able to come on a podcast and be like, "I don't have it together," you know?
I do. I really do. Yeah. And that's why when you were like, oh, I want to talk to you about structure because you seem to like I want to gain something from you. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I get things done. But yeah, we don't give ourselves any credit for that stuff either, like you said. Like full
Right.
circle. So
Well, and we don't celebrate. Like it's so easy to celebrate other people when they do things, in their lives, even if it's small things. And it feels so weird to myself to be like, yeah, I took out the trash and I did the dishes. Good job, me. But like that, some days that's huge.
mhm.
And why am I putting myself down for, oh, that okay, well that's not even a big thing. Like, no, that's massive.
Yeah.
That's a step forward. So,
We need
but
those
yeah,
congratulations. Sorry.
yeah. No, I think that celebration is something that we don't do enough of for other people, but especially for ourselves. Celebrating the seemingly small things because it's all those small things that add up to a functioning household
Mhm.
or making something cool. It's a bunch of little things.
Mhm.
So,
I read
yeah.
something or some maybe I just heard it on social media or something but that people, I forget who said it, people overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in 10. And I'm like,
Oh.
oh, that is so true. And I think the more we like again with instant gratification, like social media things and all that stuff, we don't see the big picture and it feels like it needs to be immediate. But the little
Mhm.
congratulations along the way are what's making that 10 years thing happen, if that makes any sense. It's like all the
Yeah.
stuff you're trying to fit in and do, like congratulating yourself for those small things along the way will help you continue to make huge impacts over a decade. I say
Mhm.
that to my students a lot too. It's like I'm here to measure your congratulations and like your kudos and your progress because we don't see all that we're doing
Mhm.
when we're in it. It's like, I said to my student Sarah the other day, I was like, you know, 6 months ago, you would never have thought you would be singing at open mics in front of people. Like you couldn't
Mhm.
even fathom singing in front of 5 people at our workshop, you know? And it's like those little congratulations along the way, the way that you can plan things and get up today and do that stuff is how you end up in 10 years doing all those huge things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And also, I don't know if social media is a struggle, like we were saying, but I think it's like, it's, we're all trying to post on it more as creators because
Mhm.
it feels like we have to. And for me, that's one of those things that I'm like, I should be posting more, but I don't want to. And I rebel against myself for and all that stuff. But I've been thinking recently, this may be off topic, I don't know, but I kind of like this idea and wanted to share it. That if you were doing a show or you like had a craft fair and you had a table or whatever, and you had however many followers you have come to your show every time you had a show, you'd be ecstatic to have,
Yeah.
100 people see your show, or have 1,000
Yeah.
people come by your craft table. Like, our audience that we have on social media and the things that we're trying to do in our careers, like, look at those people as real people, because with the exception of a few bots, they're all real people that are watching you do your thing. So, like, just a motivator. That's the joy piece again. I think that's so huge, is like the finding joy in the thing you want to do and saying, hey, good job today. You did what you wanted to do, like what you set out to do today. So that helps me with my structure anyway. That was a little tangent, but it's a thing.
Can we talk about how do we find the balance between driving ourselves so hard and giving ourselves rest, but maybe some too much rest? Because I know you tend to drive yourself and I tend to go to bed. And with our powers combined, we could make a very
good podcast.
Balanced person. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I struggle with this a lot. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to stop. I have this, like, and this is spoiler alert, what we're going to talk about in our next podcast together. I think Sarah's is next week, and then we the next time you and I just talk, we're going to talk about guilt and
yay
and shoulding, because that voice doesn't stop for me. I have this really present voice that's always like, oh, you got all this stuff you got to do. And I feel like a person who maybe, like, I was reincarnated, like maybe I died young in my last life, or maybe I don't know, because there's this voice inside me that's like, hurry up and get it done. You don't have time. And so I am motivated by that. Like, what have you done? What are you doing? Like, hurry up. There's no time. How do I balance that? I don't really. I take walks sometimes.
Yeah.
Or, like, I have some cocktails and sit down and watch a TV show. That's not great. That's about it. That's like the only time. Otherwise, I'm sun up to sundown and past working. Tell me about yours.
Yeah.
Like, what happens with you?
I shut down, and then I'm on Netflix, my bed. Oh, okay. So, and that is because I think I've lived with a driver inside for so long that now that I'm older, I'm like, let's swing the other way, where that's all the rest and, work, I'll do that tomorrow. I mean, some days, there are days when I get a lot of stuff done, but it's for me, it's how am I talking? It's that whole self-talk thing again. How am I talking to myself? Am I saying, you're a good for nothing and you're going to die without doing anything, so you better get up and do things? And for a lot of my life, yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to do that. I also, on the other hand, want to be able to speak kindly to myself and say, hey, buddy, I like Netflix like anyone, and there's definitely going to be time for that. But right now, you're burning daylight. Get up, get your body moving, but like not in a mean way, in an encouraging, nurturing way.
Mhm.
And for me, I guess that's how I find balance. Do I do that all the time? No. And it's further complicated, like I said, by the migraine issue that I've been having.
Mhm.
Um, and that's another thing too. When there's stuff like chronic pain or illness, that's a different thing.
Mhm.
Until you start feeling better, I hate doing this because I'm like, this is weak, but until I start having more days without headaches than having days with headaches,
Mhm.
I have to give myself a pass for a lot of things, and I struggle with that so much
Yeah.
because it feels weak and it feels like I shouldn't. That's the should thing again. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't
Mhm.
have to be able to give myself a pass. I should just be able to drive myself through the pain and understanding that that's not kind.
Mhm.
And sometimes you just have to lay down. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it sucks so much that you're going through that. I hate that for you.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's just it's an opportunity. I get to cultivate this tool in my toolbox of kindness towards myself.
Mhm.
And that's something that is really important and doesn't come easily. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I would love to know um, from our listeners, what do you do? How do you create structure? How are you kind to yourself? How are you trying to find balance? All the things. I want your answers to all the things. What are some strategies that you are able to employ that help you in creating things? How do you stay on track, etc.? Let us know. You can uh, email us at honestlydearlistener@gmail.com. You can comment on our Instagram posts, etc. We would love to hear from
DM
you.
us. And we're on
Yes,
YouTube, so you can also comment on our YouTube video with your
that's
response
right.
as well. Yeah, we want to know. This is a hugely important thing to us is connecting to you guys and getting ideas because we're not presenting this stuff to talk about because we have the answers. We're just starting a conversation with you. So let us know. Talk to us.
Yeah. Well, Emily, I
Carrie.
think that's all the time we have. Got to get back up on the horse and trot down the road of
The,
life.
the
So
throat? Did you?
the road,
The road.
the throat.
I heard
I'm gonna get on my horse and trot down your throat.
down the throat of life. Get along, little doggy. Uvula.
We're doing it.
All right.
So goodbye, old paint.
Goodbye. It was nice talking to you in your throat.
Oh man. Oh gosh. All right, dear listener. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Bye.